All right, everybody, welcome. Whoa, it's Awestruck Comics podcast. We're doing it again, doing it again. It's a good one. Got lots of
We are
uh
doing it live so you can see it recorded.
doing it live, so you can see recorded. Yeah, we got a lot of good feedback on the Last Blood review. So I'm going to put that at the end. If you get to the end of the show, or go that is the suggested video. We're up to a lot of views there. A couple comments. Oh, I meant to put that on there. There's a comment from this like French guy. He's like, "Hey, a French first time French viewer, new subscriber," and then
Mon
he had
Dieu.
yeah, so that was pretty cool. He put a couple
That's awesome.
comments in there. Yeah, so we'll take it. So let's go hit
No,
some
we're excited
plugs.
because we're so new to this. Like seeing anything, it's exciting. You know?
Yeah, we would like feedback and be curious if we're we know we're in our own little bubble and kind of crazy about certain theories and things and news and opinions, but then we see other stuff that proves that we're not that crazy. Like you sent it to me, like Larson. We'll go through the news of the week today, news of the week.
Yep.
But Larson put up like last week or the week prior in reviews, actually almost every week. I'm disliking the way Marvel is laying out their covers. They're just kind of plopping the logo, not resizing the logo, not bleeding anything to that, not covering the logo.
Yeah,
A
they're not
lot more
creating a piece of
creativity.
they're not creating a piece of art. Like covers are eternal. Like people display their covers. That's how we
Hmm.
buy comics based off of their covers, you know. We keep them in bags and boards so we can see the covers. So the cover's got to be perfect. And Marvel's not.
Who was
They're not doing
Who
it.
was the guy back in the day? Was that like Irv Watanabe? Wasn't he the Marvel guy? Was he would
Yeah.
place
Yeah.
everything?
Uh-huh.
He would either do the logos or place the logos. Very, very important person. Um, so that's and again, whenever I look through old Conan's, and I really like the way Comic Crafts, Tyler, I forget his last name. We'll see it in reviews. In Conan, the Titan Conan, he does the interior splash page just like Joe Rosen would have done, just like John Costanza would have done. It's like just a big bulk letter and the blocks, and it's just like it's so cool. It's just it's a good homage, but it's still bold and looks great. So we'll hit the plugs real fast, plug it
All right.
out, and probably cut this little part here. I've learned a
Everyone
little bit
knows
more.
Mark has his own house, and his whole house is his comic room.
Boom,
He's got
the
a
whole
comic room.
house.
He's got a comic room, his office, but he's also got a comic house.
Yeah, yeah, so this is my downstairs. So this is I've had this on to plug my Instagram. So my Instagram is idiosyncratic pulp. So every month, usually every month, I'm rotating the boards. Right, I'm rotating. Can I get
No,
this
and this is why
thing?
we talk about comic covers being important because I can see the Sam Keith, the Bisley, the
Oh,
Keown,
there we go.
Leonard. Yeah, better look at this. Look at this
Yeah, there we
stuff.
go. Yeah, so three boards. So these were literally Hobby Lobby. I think I got them for $20 a piece. These are just cork boards, so really fun. But I was going to do like just a Conan, and then I just started pulling different things. Like, let me do Conan things. So I originally got like that Ash, which we talked about before, Ash Zero,
That's very
like the
Conan
Barbarian
like.
Conan, Black Wolf, Battle Chasers, Bloodseed, and then I started going into like, but like, well, maybe I'll just do a '90s 2000. So it's kind of blurred, unfortunately, there. But I have the
There
Creative
are different
Turtles.
because you got a UK line, you got your Conan stuff at the bottom, you got your Magnola line. I mean, Death's Head 2 does bear a striking resemblance to Asbat. You know, there's like a funny,
Oh yeah,
just they're
I didn't do it on
sharp.
purpose. That's funny. Yeah, I did put
Yeah,
the progression of Magnola here though, like the Magnola Dracula to that issue, which that Magnola doc click counts as like Hellboy Zero almost.
yeah,
Like they count as that like a
I
this
get
was
it.
like a turning point in him writing because I think Dan Raspler. I think that's the same team except Dan Raspler like helped script this, who is an editor, and then him to that.
Right. Because Mignola is not wasn't real confident in his own dialogue yet. That's why he hired John Byrne to do the first Hellboy miniseries.
As bats, and then John Byrne declined to do the second miniseries. I think he just told me he's like, "You got this. What are you doing? What are you talking about?"
Yeah, you're basically giving me the dialogue. Just have
Yeah.
confidence in yourself.
Danny
And
Fraga,
that's
Black Flag.
Black
Woo!
Flag, back
Battle
yeah.
Chasers. Battle Chasers got that for $1. Remember that used to be such a big book. I got that for $1 recently. The CBS Presents Action Zone got that
Did
for
you
a
know
dollar.
there was
That's a Jim Lee
almost
cover.
there was almost a Savage Dragon cameo in Battle Chasers? Because
No,
they were him
that'd
and
be
Matt
fun.
were just talking. He's like, oh, we should just have him in there, just like a dragon as a barbarian dude. And
Yes, please.
yeah, Larson's like, yeah, I don't care about people. If people want dragon, just ask me. He goes, I rarely ever say no.
Right.
I was talking to him one time. Our buddy Rich Woodall had his book Johnny Raygun, and Johnny Raygun was doing this big Savage Dragon crossover. He was a big deal. He'd been working on it for years. Um, and when it came down to it, like he was going to self-publish it, Larson's totally fine. You could do a Savage Dragon Johnny Raygun crossover book. And then He's like, well, can I publish it through Image? And Larson's like, yeah, yeah. And then Larson kind of hesitates. And I talked to Larson one day. I'm like, what's up with this book? He goes, here's the thing. He's like, if I publish it through Image, then it's like official. He goes, if anyone else uses Dragon and they mess them up, I don't care. But if
Mm.
Image publishes a Savage Dragon, then I feel like it's in the Image continuity.
You count it, yeah. Okay.
I said, oh. I said, but you guys just printed Battle Pope, where Dragon's like a hot dog vendor. So does that count? And he just stared at me blankly.
Do you remember giving that permission?
He totally, yeah, he totally gave that permission to Kirkman when he
Yeah,
self-published it, never thinking Battle Pope would
right. It's
become,
Funkotron.
yeah,
Yeah.
right. It was Funkatron, and then he republished it and gave a he had Val Staples color the whole Battle Pope series
Oh, okay. Okay.
because he was
Yeah.
helping out Val Staples. Val Staples, here we go getting history stuff. Val Staples did the He-Man line,
Oh,
okay,
yeah.
and then he left Image to try to self-publish it, and then CrossGen's like, hey, we're going to do this creator-owned division of CrossGen. Come bring your He-Man comics. So he launched an ongoing He-Man series drawn by Emiliano Santalucia.
Mm.
Great. It's like great. Like that ongoing series, his artwork is through the roof. Like there's some quitely level good detail in some of those pages.
Yeah, I
And
bet.
then CrossGen goes out and they don't pay him for like 5 or 6 issues.
Okay.
So Val
It went back
Staples
to
was
Image?
like,
Because I have
what?
it on this board. I have it on the bottom. I have that.
No,
That that's
he
the.
never went. He just stopped publishing He-Man
Oh wow.
because
Okay.
he couldn't afford to print it more. It's a shame he couldn't like print more to try to recoup the money that CrossGen owed him. CrossGen owed him like $100,000, something like that. So he went and sold. Val Staples is a huge He-Man collector. I think he used to run the website He-Man.org.
Right. Right.
Um, so he went and sold his He-Man collection just to pay all of his creatives because he felt they shouldn't. They did the work; they deserved to get paid.
Mm.
He's the owner of the company, and even though the company got ripped off by CrossGen, he still felt responsible.
Right.
I'm like, that's really awesome because other people, like I think Pat Lee, just
Pat
went
Lee.
bankrupt
Mm.
and gave the finger to all his creatives. You know,
Yeah. Well, Pat Lee's no longer in the industry, basically. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
there's
but
no component.
he didn't get kicked out immediately. He still was doing work. He did, Superman Batman issue, and he did the what's the FF X-Men miniseries called?
X4X or
X4.
X4.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was something like that.
Yeah. Was that Nakira Yoshida? Was that sound right? Or somebody else do that?
No, I think that was
I
just no.
forget.
I almost fear that it was Chris Sarancini. Wasn't that the guy who wrote Transformers for Dreamwave? I don't know if he
Yeah, I don't
wrote that
know.
miniseries or not.
Yeah, it's a fun looking miniseries. It had cool covers. It was fun looking, but I don't remember it being very good. I think it was just like
I
it
re
was
I
like the
remember
glut-ish time.
when Iron Man showed up, he looked awesome as shit. I'm like, yeah, you could draw
Mm.
Transformers, you could draw Iron Man.
Right, right.
It's amazing Marvel doesn't go after more of the IDW artists who all aren't working. The Casey Collier, the Andrew uh, Griffin, and Alex
Right
Milne.
there.
Those
Guido Guidi.
Guido Guidi. Ah, Guido
Mm.
Guidi's so good.
Yeah, there's or even yeah, the Don. We don't understand Don Figueroa is not on
We don't
anything.
understand Don Figueroa,
Right.
one of the best Transformer artists of all time.
Yeah, I don't know.
So
But
back to
board.
oh yeah,
Yeah,
there's your Master Universe J. Scott Campbell cover. Good job.
yeah, yeah. So board two, it's tough. I do have a spot like in there where I do double spread splash. I do the like a double wraparound cover. Okay, for a better. And I had Exo Man of War on there, and I just switched it to I don't. I think it's called Sales to Astonish. Did I ever show you that before? The Sales to Astonish #1, when Marvel went from like Heroes World to potentially something else, they didn't have Marvel Mania mag, whatever it was, Marvel, whatever that solicitation book
Which one?
was, right?
The Marvel Vision or the Marvel Magazine?
I think it
Marvel
was
Vision.
after Marvel Vision. They
Okay.
had two issues of, and I almost bought both of them, but he wanted this one guy. I'm trying to think where I bought this. I think
Is
it
it
was
the
New
magazine sized
Egypt.
one?
Nah, it's comic size, but the cover is I think it's an Andy Kubert inked by Joe Kubert cover of like all of the Rising Suns, of the Midnight Suns rather, and it says
Okay.
Rise of the Midnight Suns, and like it technically is one of those things where it's like a Marvel Age thing where it's like, does that predate like the 2099? Like they kind of say like, oh, the 2099 line technically predated that because that was in Marvel Age. It was right when Marvel Age I think ended or something. So anyway, so I have that cover up there, but yeah, I might switch that next month and then have that double cover.
Remember,
J. Scott
Marvel
Campbell.
2099 was originally going to be called Marvel 2093.
Right. Yeah.
100
because it
years in
was
the
100
future.
years. Yeah, that
I
didn't
remember seeing
really
a
work.
Spider-Man design. He had a weird, like, he had weird little ear horns on either side. You remember that? Like a little
Yeah,
beep beep.
we need to make our little mini shows. We talked about that, doing little mini shows on unpublished projects or something. Like we love that stuff. We love the stuff that's almost there.
Yes.
That was on the question mark where I had there was three Marvel projects like promoted and none of it came out. I
No.
found one extra of
But
that.
but how much of that stuff is completed? That's what we're dying to know.
Yeah,
Like,
we don't know if it's
is
in a
there
drawer.
right?
It's in like Glenn Herdling's old drawers, not there anymore. Yeah, so you got the Art Adams, Robert E. Brown, not two Robert E. Brown representing that Lobo cover is iconic. Monkey Man O'Brien. That Monkey Man O'Brien one shot. That's all like I think that's all the backups that were in the Hellboy book.
I think you're correct.
Prophet Volume Two, Number Two.
Nice.
The non is Number Two the issue that Frank Miller does the variant.
Yep. Frank Miller does the variant for number two. Boris Vallejo does the variant for number one.
Uh, I don't think I've ever seen that Boris Vallejo one. I gotta check that out. I
No.
don't know.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
That's one of my favorite issues of Guardians because that was layouts by Valentino, but heavily finished
Yeah.
by Texiera.
I wanted Tex to
Heavily,
take over
heavily.
inks. I'm like, this issue looks so good.
That's super cool. And speaking of that, like speaking of Iron Man, like Iron Man looking different. I remember Ian loved that design, like love that Iron Man design, that Portatio Iron Man design. It's great.
No, it's really awesome.
Um,
It's Portatio. We love Portatio.
that's my favorite Namor. Of course, you got the Sam Keith with all the ribbons of all the
Yep.
clothing.
The phone cords, as we used to call them.
I was going to get all like do a faces, like because you look at Godzilla, Lobo, Pit. Like I was going to do one that's just nothing but faces. I could probably do that, but they're kind of boring sometimes. Do you remember when DC did that Faces month and it was so boring?
Faces Month is boring.
So boring. Yeah.
There's two things I want to say here. One, if you ask for a McFarlane pinup or a McFarlane card at any point, you got a
Mm.
face. There's a Wolverine face. There's like if you Gen 13 card series got a grunge face. I got a glow in the dark creature from the Black Lagoon McFarlane face.
Oh, okay.
Like
Mm.
there's a Savage Dragon face. Like there's a Prophet face. Like that's all he would do for you if you ask for a card or a pinup.
Mm.
Interesting. Secondly, Liefeld's good for that too. Like if he takes over a book or is trying to help a book that's like one of his books lower in sales, he'll come in and do a face cover. There's a Supreme face cover. There's a Die Hard face
Right.
cover. There's
Right. Right.
two Bedrock just face covers. Like there's something fun about it. Dale Keown, that Lobo and the Pit covers are two of my favorites, and the Godzilla.
Mhm.
I think it's because the teeth are there. I think it. I think
It's all teeth.
yeah. I think the more teeth you have on a cover, the more memorable it's going to be. And I think
Yeah.
that's one of the problems. Like McFarlane's always like, he always had those little weird cigarettes. All his characters would smoke, like some
Yeah.
weird
It'll kind of
Canadian
they'd be real like kind
roll
of
your
falling.
own.
Yeah, they'll be
Yeah,
falling apart. It looks like it
they'd
would literally fall
they'd
out of their
be
mouth.
bent, like they're wet.
Yeah.
You know,
Not. I wonder what that's about. So. Yeah, this is a great miniseries. You can pretty much find RoboCop versus Terminator in like a bunch of dollar bins. It just takes time,
you can. It's a
It's
great
pretty.
series.
I mean, it was printed a lot, and every single one had like a either like you can take out and like make standees of like I think they had 209 and number four. They have RoboCop in one like running. It's an original too. Like so, the middle piece is there. Hammerlock miniseries. I haven't reread that. I reread the number one, I guess 2 years ago, but I got that again. I had that when I was a kid. Kindred. Uh, I never read
Red
Kindred
Food.
2. You said Kindred 2 is real boring. You said that's nothing. It's
Yeah,
kind
but
of just
it's drawn nice.
yeah. Master Universe, Ninjak, Powers. It's funny. I remember we just talked about that.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm going to find out in the wild, and I found it like a week later. So that's like, and this rune was was it detailed? There was a magazine. This was an insert, and this is the only way this is printed. So meaning like they remember that's like technically Rune Zero because Rune
Okay.
was 2 pages in like 10 books, 10, 11, 12
Yeah,
books, something
they
like
were
that.
trying to copy the Solar format where the first 10
Yeah,
issues of Solar had like an 8-page story in it,
right,
which
right, right.
makes that book really disheveled.
Yeah, you hate
Like,
that
yeah,
because you shouldn't read it that way.
no, no, you should legit read it zero. They should have put
Zero,
out a
one.
Solar special or something. Yeah,
So wait. The first 10 issues of Solar have 2 pages of zero, which you technically should be reading before you read number one.
yeah. See, I didn't read Solar when it launched, but I got the trade later, and the trade collects the Barry Windsor Smith story as like a separate comic.
Okay.
So it's kind of like a
Yeah.
Solar Zero. So I read Solar Zero back in the 90s, and I never jumped into the series. But when
Mhm.
you jump into the series, it definitely takes place after issue 0. But it's really weird. I think we talked about it on another show. It's not well written. It's written well. It's just disheveled in the stories. Like it becomes too confusing. It's not a straight
Right,
through
right,
storyline. And then
right,
when you get to the 0, you're like, wait a minute, I want to read more of this, but this doesn't line up with this yet. So like you got to get to issue 10 to read all the issue 0 stuff, and then go back and reread it.
right, right,
Not
right.
not great.
It's not that fun. Yeah, so this board it goes more into this. Actually, these are the kind of the only two that had like 2010s or 2020 stuff, which was having
I'll say,
Savage Avengers and
like
Salt and Scar.
modern comics. What are you doing, Mark?
I know, but like that's a wonderful Finch cover, and
Yeah.
I loved Garney's. I like that series a lot because if you remember, Garney did the main series, which was 10 to like 15 pages maybe, and there were 7 pages of Jackson Geist like doing Butch Geist, whatever he's calling himself that week.
Right.
You know, and that's one of my favorite covers, 2099. That's when there was a bit more Kirby. That's the Savage World for Dragon, the Capullo. 16 Lapham signed. Silver Surfer Dangerous Artifacts, which is criminal that is not printed in any Epic collection. I don't know why there's not even just a Claudio Castellini book of the covers of the Cosmic Powers Unlimited, Silver Surfer, this, and he did one issue of Spider-Man. Like you can I guess he's not that popular. However, in news, which we'll get to, he does a variant for Fantastic Four Fanfare. Fantastic Four Fanfare, which I think is a terrible title.
Yeah.
Um, this I sold before, but I got one through. I think I should have told you that when I was at Captain Blue and visiting my daughter at college, they had like 1 to 15, 1 to 14 for like 25 bucks, something like that. I'm like, what? Like, and they had that on the front. I'm like, okay. And only one of them was a newsstand inside. And I couldn't see all of them because they were packed. But you know,
Yeah.
um, Chris Sprouse Supreme the Return, so multiple Chris Sprouse on these
Great.
boards. McGinnis and Thundercats there, War Child,
Beautiful.
which is a very underrated series, actually, really good.
It is good. I
And
have a
then
really
you
I
have
have
do
a
you have anything? Do you have the treatment or anything of like because after this series was done, wasn't there a Alan Moore series that he was going? He has a treatment
yeah.
for it or
Alan
something?
Moore's got he's got 4 issues. I think they're like 80 pages. They're like or 40 pages. They're real thick. Treatment. He's got a huge treatment for War Child. He
Hmm.
called Liefeld on the phone, told him for like talked to him for like
War
4 hours
Child.
about everything. Yeah. So Rob, I like to do the War Child. He was very into Quentin Tarantino. It's very Pulp Fiction inspired. I'm
Weird.
like, oh, so what's Alan Moore inspired by? But it's like since this issue, I know part of it was like there had been a new American Civil War and different parts of the country are ruled different ways. So I'm
Hmm.
like, I'm sure there's goofy aspects to it, like almost like Star Trek planets. Like, oh, we're the mobster planet or we're the Roman
Right.
planet. That's what I think in my head what it is.
Hmm.
Um, and it's a shame we didn't get it. Liefeld was committed to drawing it. I think he tried to draw it, and what he told me was it's impossible to start. Well, he goes, I've handed that script to so many people, and they can't figure out the first couple pages. I'm like, he's like, and he goes, I'll send it to you. You could try it. I'm like, yeah, send it to me. But
Hmm.
like, he never sent it to me because I
Right.
was gonna, me and Milligan were gonna take a stab at it,
And
because
put
it's just
it
sitting
in the
there.
APA. Yeah. Put it in
That
free.
no way. Just he just publish us. Give me
Yeah.
credit of like my job would be it's like written by Alan Moore, drawn by Brian Milligan, figured out by Rob
Adapted
Messick.
by. Yeah.
Yeah,
It could be
adapted by.
adapted by.
Dude, that's what
A
Larson
big
did with
credit.
Eric Stevenson. Basically, ran Alan Moore's last issue of Supreme to Eric Larson to figure out how to draw it.
Mm.
The like have you read an Alan Moore script? They're
I've
incredibly
seen them.
dense.
Yeah.
But
I'll have the
like,
attention
I
span.
don't see why people have such a hard time doing it. You just have to adapt it. You just adapt it. You look at you look at what he has, look at what the main point is. Pencil, what am I? I'm not telling artists how to draw. I can draw okay, but I'm not like an artist.
Yeah, but
So anyway,
it depends on the artist because remember, like John Romita Sr. admittedly can't be Ditko, so he struggled to figure out how to do Spider-Man. Or I think he started on Daredevil. I think he started on Daredevil after Wally Wood left, and and then when it became more and more apparent that Stan Lee did less and less as time went on, as he got more of a promotional person.
right.
Um, yeah, John Romita Sr. like admit, and that's why he take a step back off of Spider-Man. He's like, I'm out. I'm just going to be
When
art director.
when Larson took over Spider-Man after McFarlane, Amazing Spider-Man, And the same with his issue of Incredible Hulk that Eric Larson drew. He said that he tried to throw in McFarlane-esque things into his style, so it wouldn't be such a jarring transition from
Right.
McFarlane to Larson. He learned that lesson by taking over Doom Patrol from Steve Lytle. Like
Mm,
he likes Steve Lytle, but he drew nothing like him. And he goes,
no.
in hindsight, I should have like adapted more of his work so it was more seamless transition. And Ryan Otley took that lesson because when he took over Invincible from Corey Walker, he started off doing more of a Corey Walker vibe,
Right.
and then
Yeah.
slowly transitioning into the Ryan Otley that we
I almost forget
love.
that. I mean, again, it's almost like The Walking Dead and Invincible. It's kind of strange that both of those books, the Cory Walker's still with Kirkman in a lot of the creative stuff, and probably still retains a certain publishing
Oh yeah,
cut.
he's the animator design. He's like the lead animator design for the cartoon.
Right. So, but it's
With
kind of
which,
crazy that like both of those series, I kind of when I think of Walking Dead, I think of Charlie Adler. You know what
yeah,
I mean? I
you don't
feel
think
like
about Tony Moore.
no.
When I something weird, when Tony Moore left, Tony Moore and Corey Walker both can't do monthly comics, and that's it's a thing. Some people can, some people can't. Corey Walker's too hardcore about his angles and his details, and Tony Moore is just a super detailed artist. But they both left Kirkman, and then both of them were going to do Fear Agent. If you have Fear Agent Zero, it's like a short story by Tony Moore and then a short story by Corey Walker. And I'm like, did both these guys leave Kirkman for Revender's book? Which, which as much as I love Fear Agent and Tony Moore stuck around, Corey Walker never ended up doing anything for Fear Agent after that first issue. It's just kind of funny they both left Kirkman for
Yeah, they
Revender.
did. Yeah, I'll take
But
it.
so, all right, going back to your
But
wall
that's
here.
what I think about. You're right. That's what I was reheating my mug. I was on my app with my mug.
Ridiculous.
Hmm.
So
Pretty cool.
Casada Exo Manowar, that's the Casada we know
The
and love,
best.
not the new Casada that we're like,
Oh,
oh, not thrilled with.
and was this
Part
was this Chromium? This was the first Chromium, the Turok, and then it goes to those. I think that's
I
right.
think Bloodshot's first. It
Oh,
doesn't
right.
Bloodshot. Bloodshot has the first chromium piece glued onto the cover, and then Torque was
This
second.
is yeah. This is similar.
And then
There's
they
so
figured
many of
out.
these,
And then
out
yes,
there in the world.
um, there's more than I think that issue Turok's like a scam. I think there's more printed than they should have, and then they claimed that highest selling book or highest printed book or something,
Right.
but it like
Right.
wasn't real. And this book was like highly you could get that book anywhere,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it was a fun book. It's a really nice book.
Yeah. It's really cool. It's a really fun book.
I mean,
And
you have it on your
even
wall for a
after
reason.
even after he left, then I went to like Rags Morales, and I think Tim Truman worked on it for a while. Like there's a lot of people that worked on that book. The book was never really bad. Same thing with Exo Manowar over there with the Bart Sears run. That later on, Ron Mars, Bart Sears, Andy
Oh,
Smith.
the Birthquake run.
Yeah, the Birthquake run. Which the issue before, I think I told you this, and I never knew existed. So the issue before this one, this is the first Birthquake, I believe,
Uh,
had an insert. It had a Birthquake Exo Manowar insert that is just like full splash pages recapping all of Exo Manowar. But you can literally like take it out of that book. So I did that. So I have that in my head.
fun.
So like there should be good versions of that. I'm not sure. I think Alien Books was rumored to have some firings recently, so I'm not sure. They just started doing. I haven't seen it in the wild. I have to look. There is an Exo Manowar Zero replica edition that was not chromium cover, which I'd be curious to get just to see it side by side to see what that. I know what Marvel replica editions are, but I've never seen a new replica edition technically of a book. I guess because even New Mutants was newsprint, New Mutants 98. So even that, like when you look at the replica or a True Believers edition of that, that's on slick paper. So I'd be curious to see what like if this good paper on good paper to good paper, see how that would be like a new Baxter. You know what I mean? That was kind of like a new
Yeah, yeah.
Baxter. Anyways, but what was that called? What was the Wildcats trilogy cover called? I don't remember what that was called. Number one.
With
I have to
a
look that up.
with the style that it was
Yeah, what was it
it was
called?
like it wasn't
It
chromium, but
wasn't
it was
chromium,
but
I feel like
it
they had a word for it.
like chromium foil or something
Yeah.
etched foil etch cover
Oil etch.
maybe maybe.
Yeah. And even this was like this, and then this Union also had like that like rainbow effect on it,
Yeah,
which was really good. That was really, really cool.
no, I loved all this stuff. Like I love gimmick covers. They
Yeah,
look
that's
great.
this is a good double cover, wraparound cover, Witchblade. It's on by Michael Turner. Michael Turner, super nice.
Yeah.
That was at the con up in Phil in New York. It was like a basement con, but it was nothing but artists. Like it was nothing but artists. I want to say that was Dynamic Forces Con, like one of the
Oh,
first ones.
was that the snowstorm con?
Hmm. Yep. Me
Because
and
you had Barry Windsor Smith there, I remember correctly.
Yeah, that's where I got my not yeah, so the whole thing was that there was a snowstorm and then they were going to cancel the con, but then they didn't, and then but it was still in New York. And I went with Bill Grover. Me and Bill Grover went. Bill Grover had like a short box and I had some books, but yeah, the Barry Windsor Smith was really mean. He was mean to people.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. Someone was like, "Who are your influence?" He's like, "Kirby." He's like, "What else is there?" He was like so mean to this guy. It was so weird. But Jeff Darrow was there, and that's when I was walking by and I was talking to Jeff Darrow. I didn't have any Jeff Darrow work on me, but that's how I have my complete Frank Miller Batman signed by Lynn Varley because Lynn Varley was sitting next to Jeff Darrow at that right there.
You know, it's funny. Like I
So
didn't know
that's
you were
why I
going
think
to
I'm
that.
the only person has that. I have
I didn't
like that I know of.
know
A
you
Lynn
were going to
Varley
that show.
signature.
I didn't know you were going to that show, and we were talking at the store that the day before or whatever. And I'm like, damn it, I really want Barry Windsor Smith's signature, but like I can't go home and get like anything. And I'm
Yeah.
like, oh wait a minute, I got the new issue of Ash here. Happens to have a Barry Windsor Smith poster in it. I'm like, Mark, get Barry Windsor Smith to sign this poster, and you're like, yeah, and you did.
I
There
did.
was a pinup in the middle of an
Oh,
Ash
right.
comic
I don't
that Barry
remember.
Windsor Smith.
I don't know if I got something signed by him. I don't know what I got signed by him. I don't
Well,
know what I did with it.
you got that signed for me
I got signed that for you, but like
for me.
I talked to him, but I don't remember what I got myself signed from him. You know what I'm saying? Like it's goofy. I'm like, okay.
Is
And
it was it?
now at that
Did you meet
time,
him before his Dark Horse book?
no, it was Rune stuff. I think yeah. I have that. I don't have the slipcase of that, but I got a good deal on 1 to 9 of that.
Storyteller or whatever.
Yeah, I have it. I
Great.
just
I love it. So
yeah.
beautiful.
Um, but that was before I could really appreciate him as a Conan artist. I didn't think about that back then. You know what I'm saying? Like I like Rune, buddy, like your vampire book, you know. But Michael Turner was wonderful. Actually, everyone, if you remember, well, actually weren't at the show, but it was Michael Turner, D-Tron was there, Peter Stegerwald was there, Christina Z, like everyone was there. Really,
I
really
don't think
nice.
I don't think I ever met D-Tron.
D-Tron, and then
D-Tron.
of course the
Yeah.
book that started it all, Youngblood One.
Youngblood 1, beautiful book.
Youngblood One. This
This
I
month.
texted you yesterday, so this it's actually right behind this Conan. As I have this Conan treasury. So I texted you. I was at a thrift store in Trenton yesterday with my girlfriend, and I found this for $25, and this was brand new. But guess what? I thought it was a magazine rack. It is not. It technically can fit treasuries, which I was like, well, it's difficult to store treasuries, and I
It
literally have
looks
a
like the
rack,
type of rack that holds different styles of tile for your house.
whatever it
Like
is, man.
that's
I bought
whatever
it.
it is.
You know what I mean? Whatever it is. But I was like, oh shit! Now I have a spot for my treasuries, which are impossible to really store. I
Listen,
have them in like a magazine
I
box.
don't
That's the
really
only way.
promote Temu in any way, but like we had my daughter Sweet 16 and my wife had created like a balloon arch. But like she bought the stand from Temu where it's like two little forks to kind of stand up,
Hmm.
like tripod type things that go up like 8 feet and then come across so we could put this banner on it. I'm like, this thing's incredibly awesome. I'm like, it was like $10. I'm like, oh
Oh,
my
I thought you
God,
were gonna say
Temu.
it like barely built because the Timu like quality is great to terrible.
Yes, it varies.
You
It
never know
varies
what you're getting.
depends on how old the children are making it in China.
Hmm.
That's um
Lumen.
oh my goodness. That's right. Um hey Mark, I feel like this whole beginning should be a markdown.
Should we just
We
take
have
his out?
your house and people want to see the news.
Right,
So I
right, right.
think this is but you know what? Hey everyone, so that's Mark's house.
That's right.
This is
Question mark.
that's all.
We can just
Yeah.
restart the show. We could just
No,
end the show.
we absolutely are. But we'll
Yeah.
finish this show, everyone, by saying, hey, I'm also on Twitter.
Yeah.
That was
So
all.
here's
That's
our
all.
self-promotion
That's
show.
all Mark's idiosyncratic pulp.
Yeah.
Hopefully all that stuff is on your pulp.
Yeah, that all that was on that. So all those
Okay.
screenshots there. So
This
you
is
got
just
two X's, two
this is
X.
me on Twitter. Some people call it X. I don't know if he's going to own X for long because, Elon Musk is in, we'll say financial trouble.
Mm,
I don't know how you can be in financial trouble once you pass $1 billion or 100 million or just it's so much money you can't even like fathom.
I can't fathom it. Yeah.
You can't fathom it. Michael Turner, fathom. So this is my Twitter, my first one, Rob Messick. That's me, baby. Me.
Me, baby.
Let's
Me.
talk about this. I'm doing a Youngblood cover, a pin up a day. This issue was the Youngblood Strike File 8 Stephen Platt Crypt cover. I try to find original art when I can because I got a thing for comparing the published comic to the original art. I just love it, and it makes me sad to see the loss of detail sometimes from the art to the cover.
Mm.
Um, but this was cool. This
Who,
is what I
who
I
inked
literally
that?
posted. It's all that's pure Platt,
Yeah, so plat on plat, plat on
Platt on
plat.
Platt. That's
But
right.
how does this work? So that image you have to the right,
Uh-huh.
how did the titles get back there? Like,
That's a great question because it is art over top of the title. So you know what? Probably a photocopy. Here's a piece of because they got all sorts of photocopy machines back then. I mean, we still have them, but like they probably took the title that they've been using for the 7 issues prior and just printed it on a piece of original artboard, and then he
hmm,
just drew over it. Well, some white out,
that's so
you
crazy,
know.
man. That's fun.
That's
Yeah,
how
I
I
mean
mean.
that's
That's how I
that's the
think.
kind of stuff that like we talked about in this episode of like how do you construct the cover, and now everything like Marvel's just like, okay, well, if it's Deadpool, it's plop. You know what I mean? You just it's the same
Yeah,
size. And here, this is what we like. This is stuff we love, like of having that just bleed into that. You have to send me the originals of that so I can pop them up. Pop them
yeah,
up
absolutely.
in our
Um,
mini-sode.
and then my Maximum Supreme page, going through a page a day of Supreme. Um, we're in the middle of Supreme Apocalypse, got Prophet Glory, the brigade that had Troll and Tremor. It's funny because like I don't just post Liefeld stuff, but that's the journey that we're on at this moment, leading up to the new launch of Youngblood next month, which we're very excited about.
So this is 1,291 posts.
I've been doing this for yeah.
That's awesome. I'm not laughing at you. You
You
know what
know,
I mean? But it's
it's
like it's
funny
great. It's cool.
because in the beginning when I
I don't really
started
think
this
about it.
page, I thought about breaking the issues up by panels. I was doing, detailed work. Look at this ink line. Look at this is Brian Murray, inked by Liefeld, and this is Brian Murray inking Brian Murray, but it's colored by Brian Murray. Here's Sean McManus coming in. Here's the cover. Here's
Mhm.
I do all the same stuff, but I'm so deep into it now for so long. It's like here's a page because I'm not like I'm invested in the story and where it was, but this
Right.
wasn't the height of Supreme. Like
Right. This is
Supreme's
post. So this art is basically it's Joe Bennett, but it's
right.
like his Diodato Jr. style.
Yes, he's still in the Diodato Glass House Studios.
Mhm.
And this is a year before Alan Moore takes over. So it's kind
Mhm.
of like a dead zone of Supreme. There's some good stuff in it, you know? Like they reveal in the storyline that like Professor Wells, the guy who created Supreme, also created Prophet, may have created Darkthorn as well, which is kind of like Liefeld's Dark Side Thanos,
Oh,
big
okay.
red character.
Hmm. Dark
But
Thorn.
it, but it's got the Berserkers, which I love.
Yeah, we like Berserkers, and Berserkers were originally
The
called Executioners.
Yes, and that was actually going to be the first Image comic.
That was what got the rumblings,
Yes, of
which
like
basically essentially created Image. So way to go.
way to go. You went
We
from Liefeld just doing a one shot or a mini series on in his side time to
mm,
launching the third most important comic company of all time.
Good job. Well, just the
Good.
same thing. It's the same thing. We need to kind of deep dive on trying to figure. We think it's Bob Harris that created Hellboy, right? In a weird way, where Bob Harris. We have to kind of go through that story a little bit deeper and see if we can really see. It was a blind item that basically an editor told Mike Mignola or ignored Mike Mignola when what he wanted to do on a cover for X Force 8,
Right. Right. And
and
he's like,
then he was in the office because he would go to the office to get work. It's kind of crazy to me. So he's in the office, kind of hanging out, and it's like, "Hey, what's up? What's up with that?" So Magnola's concept is he wanted to do like or Liefeld to do the framing, and then he would draw inside the frame,
yeah,
like
because
the
it's
book.
the book takes place in two different time periods. Let's kind of we're both working on the interiors. Let's do a cover reflecting that.
Mhm.
But nobody told Liefeld that. Liefeld just goes and draws the cover,
Right,
or he nobody said anything to him. And
right,
they're like, well, I'm sorry, Mike, but Liefeld's cover is going to sell the book. Like the book would have sold anyway. And doing a cover of,
yeah, yeah,
you know what? Would it have hurt sales a little bit? Maybe. If Angola drew the cover or drew part of it, I don't know. Because people could go, what the hell is this? Like I know kids I was surprised opening it up. Liefeld
Mhm.
cover, Liefeld first page or two. There's Cannonball getting skewered, right? He
Right.
was skewered by a Sauron the issue
So
before. And then it's like flashback. And it's jarring to us at first, but then we end up loving it.
I knew the art because I knew Jungle Adventure, Wolverine Jungle Adventure. So that to
Yeah,
me, I was like, oh, I
yeah.
got it. He does draw X-Men. Like it was like to me
We
in that time period, I felt that because of his X-Men covers, his classic X-Men covers, because of the work I saw of him, that he was like a stable
yeah
artist, meaning
we
like
we had seen his
uh
Cable Wolverine pinups by that point.
Leonardi.
Like,
Yeah. So I felt it was like welcome to me. I was like, oh well, cool. All right, nice. I had an extra copy of that, and I gave it to Natalie Candelora, one of my first girlfriends. She was talking about me about something. I had two copies of it, and she's like, I was like, this is gonna be worth something one day, and she kind of joked about it. I was like, you can have it, and she has it, but that's a whole other story.
it's gonna be worth something one
It's gonna
day.
be worth something. It's
That's the
not.
first appearance of Grizzly
It's the first period. So most of the Wild Pack, right? I guess
Wild
was it
Pack,
the Wild
or
Pack?
the six Wild Pack at first,
Six.
and then they changed it to the six pack.
So funny. Yeah. So, but we're going to end this little show and then we're going to
Yep,
do our own news show. So, this is a point five. We'll do a point five on it.
we'll do. Yeah, just call it a
We
Mark's
don't know.
Mark's wall instead of a comic hall. It's a comic wall.
Comic wall, comic hall slash wall. Dude, we just did it. We did it again. We did it again.
So,
All right.
so
So, let
come
me
back. I don't know later today
come
to
back.
see
Yeah, I
to
could
see
probably
the
post
news
this
show.
today. So,
Yeah,
and then post the news after that. So, point five.
0.5.
So, see you, everybody.